What's going on, everybody? I'm back. Kind of, I guess. We'll see. It's J-100 TV. You know, always got a little bars with me sometimes. How's everybody doing? How you been? Man, there's been a lot of stuff going on, and I mean, I used to live stream daily news morning show and talk to chat and educate people about basic stuff that was going on and lead them to better, decent information. And I figure that since stuff is getting a little crazy out there, I do it again. Let me turn this music down a little bit. Whenever people start coming in, if they do come in, let me know how the volume and everything is. That would be great. And I mean, since this is just kind of like a test stream, trying to figure out what's going on, we might as well just get down to business. So basically, how I'm going to try to run this for the time being is I want to be informed about what's going on. I'm sure you want to be informed about what's going on. I have some decent perspectives about how I feel things should be and how we can make the world a better place. And since I want to be informed, and I go through a news scroll, I go through Ground News, I go through AP, who else I got up here? I go through NPR, I listen to NPR, I listen to Democracy Now! At least to get my, Amy Goodman headlines, if anything, if I'm too busy to read or whatever. But I figure since I am going to be doing that, and I'm yelling at the screen, or I'm yelling at the article, or I'm yelling at the radio, or I'm yelling at the TV, I might as well do that on stream with you guys. So, again, this is just a test. So without further ado, let's figure out what the hell is going on. I actually want to go on, I will mainly use Ground News because, like, say for instance this one, Israel says Iranian Supreme Leader Khamenei has been killed in U.S.-Israeli strikes. All right, off rip. For some perspective, off rip. All of this information going on right now is kind of skeptical to me. I'm not saying that Iran is lying, because I don't know much about what's going on right now, so I'm coming in on this a little bit blind. But I'm not saying that Iran is lying when they say that the bombings and attacks hit a school and killed 50 plus girls. I'm not saying that didn't happen. I'm also not saying that Israel isn't wrong about Khamenei being killed. But we've been watching Israel say nothing but BS for the last 2 years about how many people they've been murdering in Gaza for 2 years. So I don't know if I want to take Israel at their word on this one. And then at the same time, when it comes to Iran, although I don't have any real issue or real reason to not believe Iran, there's a lot of just information going on. And when it comes to anything that we talk about, I want to look at it from a bunch of different perspectives. So for instance, on the right, you got Fox News. So let's see what they got going on, talking about Iran Supreme, I don't care, Fox News. Iran Supreme Leader Khamenei dead after IDF strikes hits Tehran compound, Israeli source confirms. So what are they talking about? Iran's militant and unyielding supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who ruled the Islamic Republic for more than 3 decades and oversaw an era of harsh internal repression and confrontation with the United States and Israel, has died following the Israeli strike in Tehran, as his compound was reduced to rubble, an senior Israeli official told Fox News Digital. Khamenei was the contemporary Middle East's longest serving autocrat. He did not get to be that way by being a gambler. Khamenei was an ideologue, but one who ruthlessly pursued the preservation and protection of his ideology, often taking 2 steps forward, 1 step back, blah, blah, blah. These quotes, I don't like the way Fox News, breaks down their articles. Just tell me what I need to know. Let's see. Mass demonstrations broke out. We'll get the details from when we get the details. So this article is not really talking about the strike. This article, right. So that one's not really talking about the strike. So if we go to another source, let's do more of a centrist source. Let's go to Reuters. The United States and Israel carried out military strikes on Iran on Saturday, targeting its top leaders and plunging the Middle East into a conflict that President Donald Trump said would end a security threat to the U.S. and give Iranians a chance to topple their rulers. Khamenei, 86, became Iran's highest authority in 1989 following the death of Islamic Republic founder Ayatollah Ruhollah Khamenei as supreme leader. He held unlimited control over Iran's political, military, and religious institutions, shaping domestic policy and guiding for. Tell me about the strike, bro. Not talking about the strike. So all it is he was struck. And that's why I kind of want to go to AP right now and look at the live updates that they got from AP. So let's kind of go back from the beginning of the day. Let's see what they were talking about. Let's see. I found out about the strikes around, I want to say like 7:30. And by then, I think they had happened for, yep, about an hour. So this was 6:56 in the morning. Interception seen from Tel Aviv as U.S. Israel strike. Let's see what we got. What was that? Was that supposed to be like the air defense missiles? Scenes from Tel Aviv. Oh, this is from Tel Aviv. I don't care about Tel Aviv. That was after. All right, there we go. Man, they were striking. Houthis to resume attacks. Netanyahu says attacks will let Iranians take the freedom into their own hands. Damn, they did this shit in the morning. Oh, Lord. Okay, so 3 a.m. Trump addresses the Iranians. He said, when we're finished, take over your government. It'll be yours to take. This will probably be your only chance for generations. For many years, you have asked for America's help, but you never got it. No president was willing to do what I'm willing to do tonight. The U.S. president added, now it's time to seize control of your destiny. All right, so he does these strikes. Lebanese prime minister is calling his people to put country's interests first. So 3:05, connection blackout in Iran. Mobile phone internet service was cut after first bombs. So Iranians broadly did not see Trump's call. However, some still have access to satellite dishes and foreign TV networks. There's no immediate signs of protests or unrest in Tehran after the attacks. Security forces were out in the streets blocking roads in Tehran. So basically, at this point, I need to see Trump's address. Let's see. Let's do this. To Iran.
The United States military is undertaking a massive and ongoing operation to prevent this very wicked, radical dictatorship from threatening America and our core national security interests. We are going to destroy their missiles and raise their missile industry to the ground. It will be totally, again, obliterated. My administration has taken every possible step to minimize the risk to U.S. personnel in the region. Even so, and I do not make this statement lightly, the Iranian regime seeks to kill. The lives of courageous American heroes may be lost and we may have casualties. Finally, to the great proud people of Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand. Stay sheltered, don't leave your home. It's very dangerous outside. Bombs will be dropping everywhere.
Okay.
When we are finished, take over your government.
What are we doing? What are we doing this for?
This will be probably your only chance for generations.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought we needed Congress in order to authorize. I mean, like,
now is the time to seize control of your destiny and to unleash the prosperous.
I don't know. I thought we needed Congress to
that is close within your reach.
Do an attack in this magnitude.
Do not let it pass.
And I know that he's been getting away with doing other attacks with Israel or for Israel or whatever, but at this point, you know, doing a 3 a.m. address, basically declaring war. I mean, that sounded like a declaration of war to me. I don't know if they're gonna probably, you know, act like that's not what that was in the future or whatnot, but I thought we needed Congress for that. So I want to know, I thought there was a video of, and that wasn't his statement in full, or was it? I thought there was a video of him listing out reasons why he was going to go. And he was talking about the 1979 revolution. And again, you know, for those that don't know me, hi, I'm J-OneHundred. I used to stream on Twitch, and Twitch was fun, built a community. It was great, had a great time, you know, watched some videos, read some books, went over some news, debated some chuds. It was great. Got permanently banned because I was pro-Palestine in 2020, and you know, had some factual, I thought using documented history of what happened, you know, in order for the state of Israel to be created and for where we are today, using documented history to talk about why I support the Palestinian people and how all of that didn't need to happen and what all of that was. I got permanently banned for that because they said I was using hate speech, but I was just reading what the history was. But anyway, so but in those streams, one of my favorite, and just in talking to people in general, one of my favorite rants is to talk about how pre-Ray Ricky Ross was caught up by the DEA and the CIA with drug trafficking in the United States of America, and how that connected to the Iran-Contra conflict, right? But in order to set up the Iran-Contra conflict, you have to know the history of the coup in 1952 and how America played a role in that. And then on top of that, you got to go back to, the early 1900s, or probably the late 1800s, when Iran was industrializing their oil industry and nationalized it. that was the big thing. And British Petroleum was like, wait. What do you mean nationalize your oil? So it's one of my favorite rants. And so I love how American media always likes to begin the topic of Iran in 1979, but you don't ever talk about why 1979 happened. 1979 didn't just happen. Just like October 7th didn't just happen. Israel wasn't created on October 7th, 2023, and then that's what happened. No, there was volumes of history, volumes of documentation, volumes of people admitting what they wanted to do with this land beforehand that got to that point. And it's the same thing with Iran in 1979. There was so much happened beforehand that has U.S. involvement that needs to be discussed if we're going to be talking about these national interests these guys have in order to tell us these things and bomb these countries and do the things that they're doing. So I want to know what Trump, what the excuse for this is, especially considering the fact that there has been no congressional approval for this. And what is even Congress? No, back up. What is Congress saying about a tax? That's what we need to know. Wait a minute, before we talk about well, I need to know what Congress is talking about over here. What are we seeing here? All right, so I just clicked on why am I in the Guardian? Matter of fact, let's go to Ground News. Search what Congress is saying about a tax on Iran. Let's start there first. World leaders cautioning what to know about U.S.-Iran talks. This is what Iranian women in Switzerland say about their current. It's a Congress. All right, here we go. Trump's Iran attack raises legal concerns among Democrats in Congress. All right, so I guess let's start centrist and then we'll move out from there. I'm always looking for Rutgers or AP. We got Newsweek. All right, I don't see anything. So let's go CNN. Are Trump strike against Iran illegal? Experts are skeptical. We don't need an expert. That's just me. I don't think we need an expert here, guys. I think it's kind of clear, but let's see what they're talking about here. Legal experts are already skeptical of President Donald Trump's constitutional authority to launch new military action against Iran without Congress's approval, especially if it leads to a prolonged conflict, like with the U.S. bombing. And again, he been testing y'all for a year. So I don't want to get sidetracked. Let me read this article. Like with the U.S. bombing in Iranian nuclear facilities last summer and the January military capture of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, the attacks bring the issue of executive authority and the extent of presidential powers to the forefront. The White House hasn't presented a legal justification to the public, and Secretary of State Marco Rubio didn't give a full accounting of two members of Congress multiple sources told CNN. So they ain't even told nobody. 3 a.m. Hey, I'm striking. Lord have mercy. Trump violated the Constitution by invading Iran because the Constitution is crystal clear on who has the authority to declare war and commit American service members to battle, and that is Congress alone, said Christopher Anders, a lawyer with the American Civil Liberties Union who is an expert on national security matters. The president has tried to grab that power for himself without getting authorization from Congress before doing so, Anders added. The Constitution unambiguously states that only Congress can declare or authorize war. This is very obviously a war, said Ayla Soman, a law professor at George Mason University and scholar at Cato Institute, a libertarian think tank. You don't have to take my word for that. Trump himself says it's a war. In his message announcing the strikes early Saturday, the president said, "The Iranian regime seeks to kill." I mean, I don't know how you really say that when you're the one that's attacking them, but the lives of courageous American heroes may be lost and we may have casualties. That often happens in war, but we're doing this not for now. We're doing this for the future, and it's a noble mission. CNN has reached out to the Justice Department and White House's Counsel's office for comment. While only Congress can declare or authorize war, Trump and all other presidents have continuously cited Constitution's Article 2, which says the commander-in-chief has the power to direct U.S. military forces in engagements necessary to advance American national interests abroad. In addition, the Supreme Court has been generous in approving Trump's expansive use of power, most notably in its 2024 immunity ruling. That view contributed to the analysis to move forward under Article 2 authority when the U.S. struck Iran last summer, a senior White House official said at the time. I mean, do we think this is a video game? Do y'all think this is a video game? Iran has already attacked our bases. I mean, if we're really gonna call things a bean and a buck, if they had some favors to call in, things could happen. And part of me, if we want to, make conspiracy theories, since everybody else is able to make conspiracy theories, why can't we just conspire right now, right? If we're gonna conspire, we believe that Netanyahu allowed the attacks in Gaza to happen, in order to have military authority, and with that military authority, stay in power and maintain power, even though he was about to lose power and is facing criminal court proceedings. We elected a president that was already convicted of 34 counts of fraud, felony counts of fraud, might I add. And then was already, from Jack Smith, about to be prosecuted for other crimes, that they had on him, including trying to use fake electors within the election that he lost. He's going to be facing court proceedings sometime. He can't stay in power forever. And even if he does attempt, and even if some weirdo thing happens where something like that happens, he's going to have to be held accountable, or people around him are going to have to be held accountable at some point, at some later date. Accountability will be had. So I feel like he's just using this to maintain power that we gave him. that we didn't even need to give. We didn't have to give the guy the power, but we gave the guy the power. Article 2 was used in part to legally justify the recent U.S. military operation to capture Maduro. The Justice Department issued a classified legal opinion and later a redacted version saying Trump was not limited by domestic law in carrying out law enforcement operations overseas. What if the conflict goes on longer? That Justice Department's Office of Legal Counsel memo also argued that the scale, scope, and duration for the Maduro operation did not rise to the level of war in the constitutional sense and therefore did not require prior authorization by Congress, sources said. I mean, sure. Listen, if we're gonna play this game, I'll cede. Let's read this paragraph again, and we'll cede points. But then while playing the game, it still don't make no sense. So even though the Justice Department's memo argued that the scale and scope and duration for the Maduro operation did not rise to the level of war in the constitutional sense, which sure, they did some strikes, little pow. Maduro tried to get to his bunker. He ain't get to the bunker in time. Okay, sure. I get that, but he didn't prove that there was drug trafficking either. So I understand that, you know, you're making this legal lawyer point, but I still don't understand how he has authorization to do these ridiculous, reckless things, which again I feel will be held to account. The question of scale, scope, and duration will be raised with the new actions against Iran. Trump, in his video announcing the strikes, described the military campaign as massive and ongoing. The U.S. military is planning for several days of attacks, according to two sources. The Justice Department has come up with an increasingly dubious series of arguments in attempts to defend such strikes. But virtually all of these arguments have depended on assertions that the strikes were limited and unlikely to lead to a broader conflict. Okay, sure. But I ask again, do y'all think this is a video game? Iran has already struck bases. Once I figure out if Congress is upset about this, to see what someone from Congress has been saying, I'm going to look into the casualties at those. We'll look into those casualties at those bases or whatnot. But this isn't a game. Like, they can and have the right to at this point. I don't want them to. I don't want this to happen, but they can attack us back and have justification to. So I don't understand how this is unlikely to lead to a broader conflict just because they haven't struck back yet. They got a laundry list. Do y'all remember? I don't even think y'all remember this. But if we're going to add to the laundry list, which Iran has been keeping track, this isn't the only time Trump has struck Iraq since the last time. In his first presidency, he killed the number 2 dude in charge, or 3. Number 2, 3, didn't matter. Somebody who was in charge attacked when he was in Iraq. So they got a laundry list of reasons to attack us back if they want to. So, you know, I understand that all the arguments here in the article is saying that all these arguments have depended on assertions that the strikes were limited and unlikely to lead to a broader conflict. But I'm going to need someone to explain to me how at this point, based off of the little bit that I've seen, which is the reason why I'm doing this stream right now, so we can look at this together. But from the little bit that I've seen, how do you think this is unlikely to lead to a broader conflict? So how does he have the authority to do this when we know this is going to lead to more? Continuing on, even if there were a legal argument rather than a policy one, it's hard to take that remotely seriously here, Vladeck said. Article 2 powers were cited for President H.W. Bush's use of force against Panama to overthrow dictator Manuel Noriega, President Barack Obama's use of airstrikes in Libya, and Trump's actions in his first term against Iran and Syria. So, you know, it's really funny to me that when we do eventually have some adults get into the room and we do have the conversation about what the ever living F we're doing right now, I'm really going to be taken aback, or I'm always taken aback by how the people who have always said that this was wrong since H.W. Bush, since W. Bush, since Obama, since Trump the last time, since Biden, all those people who have been continuously on the record saying that, hey, we should rein in on these powers. Hey, I don't think we should use Article 2 in this way. Why aren't those people in the room? Where are those people at? I'm gonna need some quotes from them. Why are we asking them? Those are the people that are right. Or I believe that those are the people that at least should have a seat at the table. Continuing on, while the United States is not the world's policeman, as its power has grown, the breadth of its regional interests has expanded and threats to national interests posed by foreign disorder have increased. The Trump's Justice Department's Office Legal Counsel wrote in 2018 regarding airstrikes in Syria. Okay. So that doesn't mean you get to just indiscriminately bomb people because you think you got the power to. Whether you agree with these attacks or not, even if let's back up a second. I'll give W credit for at least laying out a laundry list of absolutely ridiculous reasons why we needed to go to Iraq. When 9/11 happened, yellow cake uranium, they're building a nuke, weapons of mass destruction, they were funding all this other stuff that like they had very loose, ties and evidence, right? Oh yeah, I got this paperwork right here. Look at this yellow cake uranium. You see this powder right here? That's what they're making. It's happening. We need to bomb them. And they're like, okay, fine. At least they gave us some fluffer. At least they fluffed it up before they jammed it in, But in this case here, we got a 3 a.m. message. I mean, what time did Trump give message to Iran? What time was that? What time is that? President Trump. No, I don't want AI. Sorry. Let's see. Not BBC. Lord. Somebody just give me the damn. Okay, F it. I'll just read. President Trump delivered his message on military strikes against Iran in an 8-minute video posted to Truth Social. So he posted it to Truth Social. He didn't even. Oh my God. What are we doing? What are we doing? 8 minutes, 2:30 a.m. This dude gonna post to Truth Social. What are we talking about, bro? What are we talking about? All right, I'm gonna go here to get this ready because I know we're gonna have to get that one ready. I wanted somebody from Congress. Anybody from Congress? Is there anyone? On Saturday, congressional leaders reacted to joint U.S.-Israeli airstrikes on Iran amid a historical, massive U.S. military buildup, raising legal questions about potential strikes. In recent weeks, tensions and warnings set the stage for strikes after February 19. Trump warned Iran it had about 10 to 15 days to reach a meaningful nuclear deal, and 3 nuclear facilities were damaged in June 2025. Adil Haque warned it would be a manifest violation of the United Nations charters for the United States to strike Iran. And Professor Curtis Bradley said Congress has not authorized force against Iran. Rep. Thomas Massie and Rep. Ro Khanna introduced a bill requiring congressional approval. The War Powers Act mandates notification within 48 hours. But what are they saying now? Oh my God. This is annoying. And that's kind of why I wish I was on X, but I'm not on X. So I don't know. But I'm gonna need hold on. I thought I was logged into that already. Democrats buck party leaders to defend Trump's decisive. Wait, what? So this is what Congress is talking about? President Trump joint strikes on Iran, exposing a divide in both parties as several Democrats come to the president's defense while a handful of Republicans question his constitutional authority. Trump announced U.S. and Israeli forces targeted Iranian leadership. A handful of House Democrats are justifying the operation, bucking most of their party. Greg Landsman of Ohio said the strikes are targeting military infrastructure, with warnings to Iranian civilians to take shelter away from these military targets. I want a lasting peace for everyone in the region. From the Iranian people to the Lebanese, blah, 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 blah. I hope these targeted strikes on Iran's regime, military assets, and the regime's mayhem and bloodshed. Who were they bloodshedding besides y'all in the last recent days, months? Please, someone. Reps Susie shows on the onus of Iran. So is Fox News the only losers talking about this? Like, who else is talking about this? Just tech on Iran. Live updates. Let's go to CNN. Oh, here we go. Top Capitol Hill Democrats and a small number of Republicans watched in alarm Saturday as U.S. launched a major assault on Iran, decrying President Trump's call for the overthrow of another foreign government without their express approval. Trump ordered the strikes on Tehran just days before the GOP-led House and Senate are each set to formally debate and vote on U.S. military action in Iran. I mean, Democrats, along with at least 3 Republicans, say the president's decision, with lawmakers scattered across the nation and not planning to return to Washington for days, raises serious questions about the legality of the attacks. This seems to me like one of those times where you might need to have a special session on the weekend. I don't know. Sometimes you might need to work on the weekend, but it's a slap in the face of the United States Congress. The president has launched an illegal war when there's no imminent threat. He did not consult with Congress or allow for a debate in Congress, which even George W. Bush did. The Democratic Ro Khanna of California. So is Ro Khanna the only dude with balls around here? Now, House and Senate Democratic leaders, as well as famously anti-interventionist Republican Rep. Thomas Massie, are demanding that GOP leaders bring Congress back into session immediately to hold a formal vote on unfolding conflict in Iran. I'm opposed to this war. This is not America first, said Massie of Kentucky. Definitely not. The Constitution conferred the power to declare or initiate war to Congress for a reason, to make war less likely, said Rand Paul, a leading Republican in the Senate effort to curb Trump's war authority, similarly declared, adding that his oath of office is to the Constitution. So, with studied care, I must oppose another presidential war. Those votes to require congressional approval for military action against Iran, which were already set for midweek, will amount to a major test of loyalty for some of the GOP's far-right flank, who have for years championed Trump's promise of keeping America out of foreign wars. Those Republicans will be forced to take a public stance after months of simmering consternation over Trump's legal authority as he has dramatically expanded powers abroad with Congress on the sidelines. Multiple GOP sources told CNN they believe those three Republicans, Massey Paul and Warren Davidson, who has also publicly condemned the attack without authorization, are likely on an island in their own party. Even so, Democrats believe it might be enough to deliver the rebukes. I don't think this has a real chance of passing, and it's going to be seen like the Iraq war vote, Khanna added, referring to the historic 2002 vote in Congress that authorized U.S. invasion of Iraq. Even if the measure passes, it is subject to a presidential veto, and 2/3 vote to override could be a challenge to reach. So while it would be unlikely to change the president's actions, it would be seen as a stunning rebuke of the administration. One Republican speaking to CNN on the condition of anonymity because they had received classified briefings on the operation, fiercely disputed that Trump was leading the nation into another conflict akin to the Iraq war. The person believed that there was wide support in the party for the president's actions. I don't give a fuck if there's wide support for the president's actions. What are you doing this for? And the reasons that you gave, I'm about to watch it, but the reasons that you gave don't make any sense to me, bro.
A short time ago, the United States military began major combat operations in Iran. Our objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime, a vicious group of very hard, terrible people. Its menacing activities directly endanger the United States, our troops, our bases overseas, and our allies throughout the world. For 47 years, the Iranian regime has chanted death to America and waged an unending campaign of bloodshed and mass murder, targeting the United States, our troops, and the innocent people in many, many countries. Among the regime's very first acts was to back a violent takeover of the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, holding dozens of American hostages for 444 days. In 1983, Iran's proxies carried out the Marine barracks bombing in Beirut that killed 241 American military personnel. In 2000, they knew and were probably involved with the attack on the USS Cole. Many died. Iranian forces killed and maimed hundreds of American service members in Iraq. The regime's proxies have continued to launch countless attacks against American forces stationed in the Middle East in recent years, as well as U.S. naval and commercial vessels in international shipping lanes. It's been mass terror, and we're not going to put up with it any longer. From Lebanon to Yemen and Syria to Iraq, the regime has armed, trained, and funded terrorist militias that have soaked the earth with blood and guts. And it was Iran's proxy, Hamas, that launched the monstrous October 7th attacks on Israel, slaughtering more than 1,000 innocent people, including 46 Americans, while taking 12 of our citizens hostage. It was brutal, something like the world has never seen before. Iran is the world's #1 state sponsor of terror and just recently killed tens of thousands of its own citizens on the street as they protested. It has always been the policy of the United States, in particular, my administration, that this terrorist regime can never have a nuclear weapon. I'll say it again, they can never have a nuclear weapon. That is why in Operation Midnight Hammer last June, We obliterated the regime's nuclear program at Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan. After that attack, we warned them never to resume their malicious pursuit of nuclear
So
weapons.
who's the violent one then?
Repeatedly to make a deal. We tried. They wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. Again, they wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. They didn't know what was happening. They just wanted to practice evil. But Iran refused, just as it has for decades and decades. They've rejected every opportunity to renounce their nuclear ambitions, and we can't take it anymore. Instead, they attempted to rebuild their nuclear program and to continue developing long-range missiles that can now threaten our very good friends and allies in Europe, our troops stationed overseas, and could soon reach the American homeland. Just
so it's a preemptive strike then?
This regime would be if they ever had and actually were armed with nuclear weapons as a means to deliver their message. For these reasons, the United States military is undertaking a massive and ongoing operation to prevent this very wicked, radical dictatorship from threatening America and our core national security interests.
And what are
We're going
those?
to destroy their missiles and raise their missile industry to the ground. It will be totally, again, obliterated.
But I thought you obliterated it already.
Navy. We're going to ensure that the region's terrorist proxies
Didn't he just say that?
Destabilize the region or the world and attack our forces and no longer use their IEDs or roadside bombs, as they are sometimes called, to so gravely wound and kill thousands and thousands of people.
So this is Iraq now?
Americans. And we will ensure that Iran does not obtain a nuclear weapon. It's a very simple message. They will never have a nuclear weapon. This regime will soon learn that no one should challenge the strength and might of the United States Armed Forces. I built and rebuilt our military in my first administration, and there is no military on earth even close to its power, strength, or sophistication. My administration has taken every possible step to minimize the risk to U.S. personnel in the region. Even so, and I do not make this statement lightly, the Iranian regime seeks to kill. The lives of courageous American heroes may be lost, and we may have casualties. That often happens in war. But we're doing this not for now. We're doing this for the future, and it is a noble mission. We pray for every service member as they selflessly risk their lives to ensure that Americans and our children will never be threatened by a nuclear-armed Iran. We ask God to protect all of our heroes in harm's way, and we trust that, with his help, the men and women of the armed forces will prevail. We have the greatest in the world, and they will prevail. To the members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, the armed forces, and all of the police, I say tonight that you must lay down your weapons and have complete immunity, or, in the alternative, face certain death. So, lay down your arms. You will be treated fairly with total immunity, or you will face certain death. Finally, to the great, proud people of Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand. Stay sheltered. Don't leave your home.
Are you done yet?
It's very dangerous outside. Bombs will be dropping everywhere. When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take. This will be probably your only chance for generations. For many years, you have asked for America's help, but you never got it.
When did they do that?
No president was willing to do what I am willing to do tonight. Now you have a president who is giving you what you want. So let's see how you respond. America is backing you with overwhelming strength and devastating force. Now is the time
who is he talking to at this point?
And to unleash the prosperous and glorious future that is close within your reach. This is the moment for action. Do not let it pass. May God bless the brave men and women of America's armed forces. May God bless the United States of America. May God bless you all. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So I'm a little confused because okay. I don't know. I don't have anybody in chat right now, so I don't know how you want me to. I don't know how you want me to go about this, because we could either play the game and like play stupid, and then play stupid and have a discussion about this, which almost kind of leads to the same conclusion. But we could either play stupid, or I could be real, and we could have a real adult discussion. So I don't know how it wants to be played. So I guess, in terms of like how the media would be discussing it, how CNN would be discussing it, okay, say there was a reason why those reasons that he gave for attacking Iran are real, justifiable reasons why a US president would attack Iran. The things that he said that they were doing, when was that happening? And I'm just to be clear, like, even if I was a conservative, I would want to know, like, yes, Iran, evil. When was the most recent evil thing they did? Right? So he goes to 1979. And again, like we talked about earlier, nobody ever talks about 1952, 1953. But he talks about 1979, then he talks about 1980, then he talks about 1983, then he talks about something that they didn't have anything to do with in 2000, then he talks about something that they didn't really have anything to do with, like, I forgot what year he said. Then he mentions October 7th. What did they do? So then on top of that, we were told from all these other articles that we were reading, right? So we're on ground news. We're looking at all these articles over here, right? We're looking at all these articles. They said that there's no reason for there to be a long-term conflict. My man's called it a war. And that casualties happen sometimes in war. My man's called it a war. That's what he just said. Did you just not say that? So then on top of that, he says, for the people of Iran, this is your chance to take over your government. And do what? Like, what's the exit strategy? Are we going to be funding this since we blew up all these buildings? Are we paying for this? What's the plan? So I could play nice about it, and we can play like, you know, this is normal, and we can play like CNN, like, oh, you know, I'm talking to the White House, and, you know, they're saying that these strikes, we can do that. But even when we do that, what are we doing? That was war, bruh. All right. So then the next thing I said that I was going to get into was visualizing the U.S.-Israeli attack. All right, boom, let's do it. Let's visualize the U.S.-Israeli attack on Iran and retaliation maps on a chart. All right, so what do we got here? Hit by Iranian strike. Bahrain. Targeted. We got, what is this? They didn't even give it a name. You're not even giving names of the countries. This is a shitty chart, CNN. What are we doing? What are we doing? Before the strikes? Why do I want to see the air? Oh my God, this is useless information. the purpose, part of the purpose of this stream is to build confidence and competence and looking at different sources and figuring out where we get information and who says this and facts and this agency is leaning this way and this article is leaning that way and blah 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 blah. But this is dumb. I thought you were gonna help me out here, CNN, but you suck. All right, let's go to AP because AP was showing me that. Let's go back here. Associated Press. Let's go back to AP. AP was showing me a little bit of what I was looking for, but we needed to actually watch Trump's video and all that. 2:30 in the morning. I just 2:30 in the morning on a Saturday. Congress ain't gonna be in session until and we were just, oh, this is normal. People went to work this morning. All right, so on a map, see where Iran struck U.S. bases in retaliatory attack. So it looks like they struck Kuwait, looks like they struck Bahrain, and they struck the United Arab Emirates. Trump tells news outlet large amount of leadership in Iran has been killed. I mean, there's so much going on. It's 5 o'clock where I'm at. It's 5 o'clock where I'm at. This started at 2:30 in the morning. And it's 5 o'clock. Ayatollah Khomeini's supposed to be dead. Leadership is supposed to be dead. There's just so much going on right now that, I mean, this is like flood the zone times a billion. And then there's so many other things to get into as well, as far as like Anthropic. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. All right, so Iran has not confirmed Khomeini's death. Israeli officials say Iranian Supreme Leader Khomeini has been killed. No word from US or Iran. Treasury Department terminates union contracts for IRS births. What? No. All right. Where did they strike? I want to see where these strikes are at. Actually, while I'm doing that, let me go to Amy. Amy, tell me what's going on, bro. And while Amy is telling us what's going on, oh, it's Saturday, so Amy can't tell us what's going on. He's smart yet incompetent at the same time. Flights, air travel, U.S. been building up in the region. Trump tells Iranians it's time to topple their government. Iran strikes back at Israel and U.S. bases. Iran responded Saturday by launching missiles and drones targeting Israel and strikes targeting U.S. military installations of Bahrain, Kuwait, and Qatar. About 12 hours after the attacks began, the U.S. military reported no U.S. casualties and minimal damage at U.S. bases despite hundreds of Iranian missile and drone attacks. It's Saturday, so no Congress, no Amy. So we're just out here. We're out here free Dick Willie in wars. Israel's military said Iran fired dozens of missiles at Israel, with many intercepted. Emergency responder, I don't care. Saudi Arabia said Iran had targeted its capital and eastern region in an attack that was repelled. Bahrain said a missile attack targeted the U.S. Navy's Fifth Fleet headquarters in the island kingdom, and 3 buildings were damaged in the capital Manama and Marak City by drone strikes and debris from intercepted missiles. Kuwait Civil Authority Aviation Authority said a drone targeted the main international airport, injuring several employees. Kuwait state-run news agency said 3 troops were injured by shrapnel from strikes that hit Ali Al Salim air base. Explosions could also be heard in Qatar. Jordan said it dealt with 49 drones and ballistic missiles. What does this have to do with South American soil? Yeah, I don't know what this has to do with South American soil. This is all or South American oil. Yeah, I don't know. It shouldn't have anything to do with South American oil unless Iran was dealing with South American oil and the transaction went bad or something like that, and they wanted to add their 2 cents. But all of this doesn't make any sense. So the most recent stuff that we have here is, so let's do this then. Let's go to something live and see what they're talking about live. Cause I, to this very moment, want to know why there is no special emergency congressional thing going on right now. That doesn't make any sense to me. And that's not where I wanted to go. So why did you go there? Let me do this. I don't even know who Associated Press is, who I would rather deal with. But the Associated Press is just showing Tel Aviv. So no bueno. No bueno, Associated Press. I don't want to go to CBS. I definitely don't want to listen to Roland Martin. Reuters. Protests outside White House. At least the people are outside. This isn't live. UN Security Council. All right. There's something.
And to meaningfully engage with the international community in a manner consistent with its international obligations and the will and aspirations of its own citizens. I thank you.
I thank the
they need to secure. So I was speaking about that earlier. I don't know when you came in, but I was talking about.
Thank you, President.
When we were talking about listening to him talk about the, I guess, justification for this. You know, he mentioned all these random things that they had been doing, but we are currently selling Venezuelan oil and trying to tell them dudes what to do. We are literally starving out Cuba at the moment. We are still shooting random boats in the Gulf. We are helping Israel with whatever they are doing. I'm pretty sure we're still doing operations in Yemen. And then now we have this seemingly illegal strike. Does that dude sleep? Oh, he's texting.
Against the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Bahrain,
we have
Jordan,
this seemingly illegal
Kuwait,
strike
Qatar, and the United
in
Arab Emirates,
Iran.
and stands in solidarity with all these brotherly countries and underscores the need to exercise maximum restraint.
Oh, wait. Amy did speak. Listen. Amy on point.
Democracy Now!, Democracy
Let me see what my
Now.
girl talking about.
I'm Amy Goodman with this special report. The U.S. and Israel have launched an unprovoked attack on Iran, striking sites across Iran, including the compound of Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. The Israeli military says it struck over 500 targets, including 3 sites where senior Iranian officials were gathering. Iranian state media reports one Israeli strike hit an elementary girls' school in the south of Iran, in Manab, killing at least 85 people, including at least 60 children. 2 more students were killed in a strike on a school east of the capital, Tehran. Iran reports the U.S. and Israeli attacks have killed at least 200 people
if you watched
so
it
far.
earlier,
Iran
you
responded
could have
by
put me on
launching
game.
attacks
You could have
across
put me
the
on
Middle
game
East,
if you watched it earlier.
targeting Israel,
Thanks.
United Arab Emirates, Qatar,
It's all good.
Kuwait,
We found it. We got
Bahrain,
it.
and Jordan. Several U.S. bases were reportedly hit. In a video message, President Trump called for regime change and urged Iranians to
This is an
take
hour?
over the government.
Let me go get my water. I'll be right back.
Trump launched the attacks without congressional approval. Oman's foreign minister, Badr Abu Saidi, criticized the U.S. for attacking Iran in the middle of negotiations. He wrote online, quote, "I am dismayed. Active and serious negotiations have yet again been undermined. Neither the interests of the United States nor the cause of global peace are well served by this," he said. The UN Security Council is scheduled to hold an emergency meeting today. In this special broadcast, we'll be joined by a number of guests. We begin with Trita Parsi, Executive Vice President of the Quincy Institute for Responsible Statecraft, who's written a number of books about Iran and the United States. Trita, welcome to Democracy Now! Can you respond what has taken place in these last hours?
This is clearly an illegal war and a war of aggression. It's illegal in terms of international law. It clearly is illegal in terms of domestic American law. This issue has not been debated. It has not been voted on by Congress. And this is Trump really also, in addition to all of these things, betraying his own base, who to a very large extent voted for him precisely because he presented himself as the candidate that would end endless wars. But this is clearly a war of choice.
I'm trying to get on Threads at the moment.
Yesterday on CBS News, clearly that inside the negotiations, the Iranians had moved significantly and offered concessions that made the deal on the table dramatically stronger than what the Obama deal from 2015 was. For instance, not only would the Iranians not be amassing any low-enriched uranium or any enriched uranium at all, whereas in the Obama deal, they would be able to have up to 300 kilos at any time. Now they would be down to 0. With 0 amassed enriched uranium, you cannot build a bomb, obviously. But on top of that, based on the needs basis for continued enrichment, the Iranians actually would likely not enrich anything at all for another 3 to 5 years, which means that during the duration of Trump's presidency, there would be no enrichment in Iran. Despite all of this, despite the ease in which he could declare victory and say that he got a much better deal than Obama, Trump opted to go for war because what he clearly seems to be looking for is not a deal, but capitulation and surrender.
And can you talk about his direct call for regime change and for the people to take over?
So clearly he is searching for various ways of being able to justify why he has taken this specific position. He has,
get on Blue Sky?
for instance, done everything
man.
from going back to history and claiming that
I'm
for
do it right
47
now.
years,
I think I'm on Blue Sky. I just don't use it.
Iran in very many problematic ways. He's referring to IEDs that killed American soldiers in Iraq. He's referring to the suppression of the Iranian people, which it's difficult to believe that he actually cares about. He is searching for justifications of this. And I think that I find that very interesting because it's very clear based on that in my reading that he knows that he's going to have a very hard time actually selling this to his own base. The starting
I don't want
point
no
is
biometrics. Stop trying to ask me for my DNA.
No more than 20% of the American public supporting this, and in general, and amongst Republicans, it's not stronger than 35%, which is a very low level. Remember, when Bush went into Iraq in that illegal war, he had managed to lie enough to get the American people to support that war at 79%.
The latest you have heard about the casualties in Iran and then also the hitting of the Gulf states, not to mention sending drones to Israel and hitting U.S. bases as well, Trita Parsi.
As I had predicted back in August when I wrote this article for Foreign Policy, in the next war, the Iranians would likely strike back hard very early on instead of allowing what they did in the 12-day war, in which they were pacing their
even
responses.
if they,
This
at
time
this
around,
point,
they're trying to quickly.
one of the points that I was making earlier was do people think this is a video game? Do these guys think this is a video game? Because I was reading one of the articles when I was trying to see what Congress was talking about. They were talking about these experts that were, or the article that I was reading were talking about these experts that were weighing in, and you know, my whole thing about this is like, why? Who's given authorization? Why is there no, why does he think that these excuses are enough? It don't make any sense to me.
Inflict as much damage as possible.
And then on top of that, Iran is within their rights, within the game that we're playing right now, to strike us. Like New York, bow, gone. And what we gonna do? I mean, yes, we're gonna cry. New York is gone, but like, they can. This ain't a game. This is not a video game. Just because they haven't attacked us since Trump's attacked them in Iraq on New Year's. What was that? 2020, right before COVID broke out, or right in the beginning when COVID broke out. So COVID was kind of breaking out. Trump attacks Iran on New Year's, and then a few weeks after that, we are in COVID. We forgot about Iran at that moment, and they could have attacked us then. I think they attacked the base. You know, I heard a couple people got bruised up, and maybe there was like 3 or 4 casualties. But like, they can attack us, bro. This is not a game. And then when that happens, which is what I think Trump wants to happen, is, oh, well, now you got to give me war powers. I need war powers now. Unlimited power, like in Star Wars and shit.
On Israel, on the United States, but also on neighboring states that are hosting American bases, even if those bases are currently not being used by the United States. They're trying to expand the arena of the war, the theater of war, in order to make it as difficult as possible for the United States to continue this war. When it comes to the casualty rate inside of Iran, we're hearing varying numbers, but one thing that I think is quite noteworthy is that the fact that there was such a high casualty rate at a school for young girls in Iran, over the course of 30 days of warfare, it would be almost statistically impossible to see a scenario in which some civilian target would not be hit. But the fact that this was hit on the first day of the war, I think has already colored the view of a lot of Iranians inside of Iran who do not care for this regime, who do want to see a change. But now it's become very clear that this would come at their expense, at the cost of ordinary civilian Iranians, innocent Iranians, rather than this fantasy that is being sold to many people from the outside, that this would be some sort of a glorious and dignified regime change war.
I know you have to go. The latest figures we have, and this is going to change through the time we post this online, Iranian Red Crescent Society saying 201 people killed, 747 wounded in Iran, Trita.
Are we saying, is what's going on over here that Chuck Schumer hasn't made a statement yet? At the
end of the 12-day war in Iran, there were 1,000, roughly 100 killed over the course of 12 days. And for at least for the first day of this war, the intensity of these attacks have actually been far less than what it was during the June war. I suspect, however, that the United States is going to intensify the bombardment significantly tonight.
I want to thank you, Trita Parsi, for joining us. Trita Parsi is Executive Vice President of the Quincy Institute for Responsible Statecraft. We are joined by a number of guests, including Nagar Mortazavi, an Iranian-American journalist, host of the Iran podcast, senior fellow at the Center for International Policy, born in Tehran, speaking to us, though, from the United States. The latest news we have, over 200 people killed in Iran, over 700 injured in this U.S.-Israeli attack on Iran. Iran has retaliated by attacking, according to the latest news, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, as well the United Arab Emirates. I think there were reports Jordan sending drones and missiles to Israel. And at a girls' school in southern Iran, over 80 people killed, it's believed, over 60 of them children. It's a girls' school, 60 of them girls. We're joined by Nagar Mortazavi, an Iranian-American journalist, host of the Iran podcast, senior fellow at the Center for International Policy, born in Tehran.
I don't even know what to make about the reports about the school, because I believe everybody's flooding the zone, and we don't have real accurate information at all about anything. I don't trust the administration's word on anything. And like I also mentioned earlier, I don't necessarily have a reason to not trust Iran, and I don't necessarily have a reason to trust Iran, but mainly moving off of the fact that I don't really have a reason to not trust Iran. They done blew up a school. 500 targets. A lot of bombs.
From UN leaders, I saw a
lot of bombs in a day for them to retaliate and say nothing, because we think it's a game. I think we think this is a video game. That's what I think.
As you said, Amy, we're seeing civilian casualties. An elementary school targeted in the town of Minab in Iran. Dozens of children killed, many injured, and it's just the civilian toll of a war across the region. Also, we're seeing Iran had threatened and promised to retaliate and turn this into a regional war, make sure it spills outside of the border, so its neighbors would also feel the pain and it wouldn't just be bound to Iran. And we're seeing that. We're going to see this casualty, civilian and non-civilian, not just in Iran, but also potentially to U.S. service members in Israel. We're also seeing images, and in many of the Arab countries who are neighbors of Iran and are hosts of U.S. bases.
We have this from Volker Turk, the Human Rights High Commissioner of the United Nations, saying, I deplore the military strikes across Iran this morning by Israel and the United States of America, and the subsequent retaliatory strikes by Iran. As always in any armed conflict.
Sorry, Amy. Real quick. We got this one over here. Oh, shit. I lost it. It went on that screen. Sorry. All right. So we got their little tweets and stuff that we can hear something. We can see we can kind of get a gist of what these people are talking about. So Steve Scalise, for years the Iranian regime has chained death to America, target our troops, weaponize their terrorist proxies, and kill tens. So he just repeated what the president said. Made it today, their reign of terror is over. Okay. A lot of people say death to America. Targeted our troops. When recently? What is leading to this attack? That's what I want to know. If this gives you authorization to do this without war powers. Troy Carter, I'm deeply concerned. Troy Carter said, I'm deeply concerned about the attack today. Let me be clear. The Iranian regime has long been a destabilizing force in the Middle East. Of course, the Democrats always got to say some bullshit. And its support for militant proxies and armed groups across the region poses a real threat to our allies, our interests, and global security. Okay, so what, Democrats, you kill me with this. What about your support for militant proxies and armed groups across the region that pose threats to their interests in global security? And then what interests in global security? At this point, since we got dude setting off wars at 2:30 on Saturdays, when he knew that there was a war powers vote that was going to happen on Monday, when we have this discussion, I'm gonna need you to tell me what these interests is. And I kind of wanted Epstein files. Like, I want you to give it all, whether it's true or not. And we gonna sift through and we gonna figure out. Because this interest in global security, you keep saying that, but he's saying that too. And he just popped off. So since I don't know of anything that Iran has done specifically recently to us, specifically and recently, I'm gonna need you to let me know what these interests in this global security is that they're posing a threat to. At the same time, these Democrats continue. Any use of military force by the United States demands serious consideration and a clear, coordinated plan. Agreed. The American people deserve to understand the objectives, the risks, and the path forward. History has shown that conflicts involving Iran rarely stay contained. With partners and proxy forces operating throughout the region, the potential for escalation is real, and the consequences could reach far beyond a single strike. My focus is protecting American lives, supporting the brave men and women who serve our country, and ensuring that Congress fulfills its proper constitutional role when matters of war and peace are on the table. Those are serious moments. They require steady leadership, strategic thinking, and a commitment to keeping the American people informed. I mean, you lost me in the first half, but sure. Emergency session. Bill Cassidy. From Louisiana, the president's decision. So why you keep going to what's up with? Oh, this is a Louisiana article. That's why. So, funny that I have a Louisiana article. It seems that I may have someone in chat that may be from Louisiana. So let me continue on about what the representatives from Louisiana are talking about. Bill Cassidy says the president's decision to attack Iran presumably was based on a clear and present danger to the United States. Okay, Bill, I heard the man talk for 8 minutes. And he ain't present a clear and present danger. He talking about 43 years ago. I heard 1983. I heard 1979. I heard may have had some culpability, probably did with the USS Cole in 2000. That's what I heard. I didn't hear based upon clear and present danger. Someone explained to me what this clear and present danger is, and a planned execution that does not put the United States in a forever war. You hit 500 targets quickly. They hit our bases. So we just done? That's it? We done? We ain't striking no more? And then because we hit these 500 targets, and can't nobody tell me whether Ayatollah Khomeini's dead or not, you think that this ain't gonna last till tomorrow? You thought this was gonna be the weekend? Come on, Bill. Louisiana, you tripping. Representative Julia Letlow. Iran is the world's leading sponsor of terrorism and actively plots to kill Americans. Okay, so quick question. I'm going to take you at your word that Iran is the world's leading sponsor of terrorism and actively plots to kill Americans. When's the most recent plot? Because this video right here, this one that's in here that I'm clicking, that's 8 minutes and 6 seconds. We listened to that already. And I ain't hear him say none of that. So who cares? President Trump's decisive strike sent a message that America will not tolerate Iran threats to our national security. Okay. And you think that they can't strike back? You think this is a game? They think this is a game. Mike Johnson, Louisiana. So quick question. And I'm being facetious, but I'm being serious at the same time. Why has Louisiana had so much undue power in Congress in the last 10 years? Can someone maybe from Louisiana explain to me why Louisiana has had, especially on the Republican side, because on the Democratic side, the only people that they listen to are geriatric patients. So what Jim was his Cavill was his name? Well, the dude's always calling everybody a jackass. Louisiana. Why does Louisiana have so much? Okay. Speaker Mike Johnson. Today, Iran is facing severe consequences of its evil actions. I'm gonna lose my shit. I'm gonna lose. What evil action? Even if I were to play the game with you, even if I'm going to be like, okay, I'm a member of Congress. Give me a reason. Just lay it out for me. Give me a reason why I need to put my name on this dotted line to attack. And you're Mike Johnson, and you go, Iran is facing severe consequences for its evil actions. I'm gonna ask you what evil action. And then when you say, President Trump and the administration have made every effort to pursue peaceful and diplomatic solutions in response to the Iranian regime's sustained nuclear ambitions and developed terrorism and the murder. Oh, there's more. He's rambling. He's rambling. Oh, Lord have mercy. Let me back up. And the murder of Americans, even their own people. For decades, Iran has defiantly maintained its nuclear program while arming and funding Hamas, Hezbollah, and other internationally recognized terrorist organizations. Iran and its proxies have menaced America and American lives, undermined our core national interests, systematically destabilized the Middle East, and threatened the security of the entire West. The Gang of Eight was briefed in detail earlier this week that military action may become necessary to protect American troops, American citizens in Iran. I received updates. You just yapping. I ain't see no justification. So if I'm a member of Congress and you're asking me, say for instance they do have this, or he didn't do this at 2:30 on Saturday, or he called everybody Friday at 11 and was like, hey, Saturday at 2:30 I'm gonna give a speech, so by 2:30 I'm gonna need y'all to vote on whether you're gonna give authorization to me doing this or not. Okay? Even if he were to do that, and I'm a member of Congress, and it's 1:35 in the morning, and I'm asking, all right, you want to strike Iran? What you got? And you give me this, and in your 8-minute video, in your 8-minute speech, you want to talk about 1979, Joe never talk about 1953, 1979, 1980, 1983, 2000, and October 7th, it's a no. So since I'm a vote no, and I'm pretty sure that, you know, all these other weirdos, because again, we're going back to all these Louisiana weirdos, talking about leading sponsor of terrorism, okay? Plots to actively kill Americans. Okay, show it to me. What was the plot? What they got? What were they gonna do? Were they gonna do it Saturday at 2:30? Is that why you needed to do it? Over here, the president's decision to attack Iran presumably was based on a clear and present danger to the United States. So you don't even know, Bill. Okay. When he sent this message at 7:56 a.m., this other one was sent at 2:30 a.m. So that was like 6 hours before. So he gave the reasons why, and then you presume that's clear and present danger to the United States, Bill? Got you. What's Cleo Field talking about? This morning, the United States in court. Oh, you yapping too. Oh, Democrats. Are you going to do an emergency session Mr. Congressman Fields here. This morning, the United States, in coordination with Israel, launched strikes against Iran, a significant military action with serious consequences for our national security. While I understand the gravity of the threat, the process here cannot be ignored. The War Powers Act exists for a reason, to ensure that no single person can commit this nation to war without accountability to the American people. When a president bypasses our constitutional process, he isn't just cutting corners, he's undermining the framework that governs this country. This choice has consequences, and Congress must respond accordingly. Okay, that was actually pretty reasonable. I'll give you that one, Mr. Fields. You're being pretty reasonable. Let me go back, because I ain't on X, and you're not going to get me to go on X. So, okay. So, I'm putting this out there for chat. You know, I'm getting a lot of views and stuff like that. I appreciate that. Thank you for the watching. But I kind of want to know where you're going at with this, because that will kind of, again, dictate where I go with this. Whether you agree with there needing to be strikes to Iran, or whether you agree that there needs to be military use. Let's just say that, because none of this makes any sense. It's not really backed on anything, so he's just using the military. Even if you agree on military use, I would even agree that although Venezuela is not trying to do a war, what was done with Maduro needed some discussion and approval. Even if you agree they need to use the military, especially in this one, what is the real argument against having a discussion and doing this at Saturday at 2:30 in the morning? It's going to be hard to convince me, if at all possible, that this was needed to happen. But you're going to see a lot of me. We're going to have a lot of conversations. We're going to get into a lot of things. We're going to get into the weeds of a lot of things, right? And I'm willing to, either for logical reasons, hear you out and see where it goes. Or if you were to actually present me a real good, decent argument laid out that presents the case, I'm willing to change my mind. I mean, it shouldn't be a gimmick. I'm not trying to make that be like a perk of the stream or anything like that. Like, it's a true thing. If we're having conversations, right, and I present something to you and you're like, no, I got a different perspective, and that perspective makes me change my mind, I'm willing to change my mind. But you got to show it to me. You got to present it to me. You got to give me proof. So even if there is an agreement that Iran needs to be struck, even if there's something that you could present to me right now, because there isn't, but even if there's something that you could present to me right now that would get me to agree with striking Iran right now, we got to talk about it. It's the whole point of the democracy thing that y'all say would be doing these attacks for. Somebody talked about democracy. One of you losers talked about democracy. Well, that was diplomatic. But he ranted. So he said something. I'm pretty sure we're gonna see democracy in here somewhere. Freedom, safety, and freedom of Americans, right? Isn't that wrapped up in democracy? So, where's the conversation? How can you convince me that doing this weirdo stuff, that doing this, right?
Military began.
I don't want to hear you yap, sir.
Combat.
We heard that already. I don't want to hear that shit again. If you're going to convince me that doing this at 2:30 in the morning on a Saturday is legal and constitutional and within the president's powers, even if you wanted me to be on your side, a MAGA, a conservative, a liberal, a Democrat, even if you want me to go that far, what is this? What are we doing? And you're not going to be able to give an excuse. So at this point, when can we start getting the articles? The articles ready? Do we need to go to the midterms? At this point, the midterms should be another presidential election. We got what is it, 20? It was 20 February 28th, 2026. Damn, the midterms are in November. That's not enough time. That's not enough time. We need to have a conversation though. And
civilians who end up paying the
what I saw
ultimate
from
price.
Congress was weak. I'm going to look for some more. I didn't think that was just
Volker Turk
Louisiana.
says are not the way to resolve
So,
differences, but
keep
only
talking to me,
result
Amy.
in death, destruction, and human misery. That's the UN Human Rights Chief, Volker Turk. Nagar, if you can talk about President Trump's call for the people of Iran to rise up. He is demanding regime change.
Absolutely. I mean, I echo what the statement that you just read from the UN official and other UN officials that we've seen are doing, not so much from world leaders, Western leaders. I was looking at some statements from European leaders, the EU, EP, France, and they don't echo this. You know, it seems like the Europeans have a hard time condemning wars depending on who launches them and who's being attacked. And this is yet another case. And so it's sort of the double standard and the hypocrisy is there. So I'm not expecting much leadership from Europe to try to stop this, but maybe regional leaders, maybe some of the neighbors, maybe some of the Arab leaders would be able to sort of step in and push for a ceasefire, for diplomacy. But again, going back to President Trump, yes, it seems like the rhetoric matches another regime change war. And it's ironic because this is the quote unquote president of peace who's launching yet another regime change war.
Yeah, bro
in the
did
Middle
want a
East,
peace prize.
potentially something that can be even more catastrophic
That was weird
than
too.
Iraq
I
or
don't-
Afghanistan. This is a president
I don't
who
understand.
has criticized.
I've never understood. I never understood the ranting and raving about wanting a peace prize and like just getting a hard on so bad about getting the peace prize when you have a Secretary of Defense who renamed the Department of Defense Department of War. I don't think you renamed the Department of Defense Department of War and then you want peace when you run on a platform on anti-war. So again, I'm going to need, like, we can have the conversation. I mean, we're going to have the conversation now because we struck them over 500 times and they struck back and we're probably still striking them right now. So we're going to have the conversation and it's Saturday and ain't nobody working. And so the only thing that we're going to be doing for the next couple of days is have a conversation. But when the pedophiles you elected get back into session, and the weirdo lame politicians that are weak and spineless, when they get back into session and they have the conversation, where are we going from here? And not what are your thoughts, put it in the comments, but like, what's your excuse at this point to support this, to want this to last past the midterms? I'm going to need explanations. And without those explanations, we need to do a couple of things. We need to call this what this is, which is fascism in action. Before it was fascism built up. And then, people were like, well, they didn't do anything yet, so it's not fascism yet. And that's not how that works. But it was fascism before, but they were building it up. But now what they've done is an operation that is going to lead to more things, that is going to lead to this dude trying to usurp power and keep it. I mean, that's been the point since the last election, but that's what's going to happen. So at that point, even the people just catching on, even the dum-dums, aren't going to have any other excuse. They're going to recognize it as a fascism. So since we're there, we either stop it before the midterms. I mean, at any time. I'm just using the midterms as like a landmark, but we can do this tomorrow if you want. I mean, I'm down. Okay. That's a little too, let's be realistic. I'm down for like a spring resolution, right? Like the spring, the flowers are coming out, you know, the baseball's going, you know, the flowers are the birds are chirping, pedophiles are locked up and impeached. It's a perfect spring. It sounds great to me. So, spring, right? We could do it by spring, but realistically, using it as a landmark, we can do this by the midterms. You either support it, you don't know that you want it, but want it, or you want it, and you've been wanting it, or we stop it. Because this is getting a little ridiculous. Like it is getting a little ridiculous. And it's to the point where like I'm gonna be doing these during the week. I'm doing it Saturday. I didn't want to do this because of, you know, we started a war. I planned on testing this, you know, kind of news scroll stream anyway, but I plan on doing this pretty much daily. How long am I gonna be able to? That kind of battle that we're gonna have. Let's just not let it get that far. Why don't we just like, I don't know, use the Constitution to do the things that the Constitution says when shit like this happens. I want to read AOC's statement. What's AOC talking about? Oops, let's do it this way. AOC is talking about the American people once again dragged into a war they did not want by a president who does not care about long-term consequences of his actions. This war is unlawful, it is unnecessary, and it will be catastrophic. Just this week, Iran and the United States were negotiating key measures that could have staved off war while they're bombing them, mind you. But continuing, the president walked away from these discussions and chose war instead. President Trump flippantly acknowledged the possibility of American casualties, stating that that often happens in a war. And so for those that like to, for the chuds out there that like to say that when we use quotes to quote people saying shitty things and they say, oh, that's out of context, that often happens in war. Can you spin that one for me? I just would love to see how dizzy you're going to be afterwards. Mr. President, this was not an inevitability. This is a deliberate choice of aggression when diplomacy and security were within reach. Stop lying to the American people. Violence begets violence. We learned this lesson in Iraq. We learned this lesson in Afghanistan. We are about to learn it again in Iran. Bombs have yet to create enduring democracies in the region, and this will be no different. In moments of war, our Constitution is unambiguous. Congress authorizes war. The president does not. I will do my part to uphold our Constitution by voting yes on Representative Ro Khanna and Thomas Massey's War Powers Resolution. Every member of Congress must join us in rejecting this aimless war. AOC is... I mean, I like her as a person more than most of them, but she weak sauce, pretty decent statement. When you look at this, and you probably should be looking at this, I think everybody should be looking at this. in a compartment in their brain as, what are the history books gonna say about this? Like, unreal. Like, what is my great grandchild going to be reading in their history book? For me, that automatically made me want to make sure that there is a book that will at least have like 90s, 80s, mid 90s, early 2000s level, at the very least, amount of historical information in their book. I mean, that's just kind of weird because they've been screwing up them books for a long time. But like, I think that the high school books in the 90s was like kind of all right, maybe. But I would hope they would have that amount of level of accuracy in their history book. I want to fight to make sure that my great grandchildren have a higher level of accuracy in their history books. And that's something that I'm actively going to be thinking about on a daily basis when we think about what is happening. And while we're doing that, we also need to think about what the figures were doing and what the figures were saying while that was happening. And I got rid of the tab already, but the tweet that we read from Congressman Fields was pretty decent. AOC's is all right. Oh, we got Kamala. What Kamala talking about? Donald Trump is dragging the United States into a war the American people do not want. Let me be clear. I'm opposed to a regime change in Iran, and our troops are being put in harm's way for the sake of Trump's war of choice. This is a dangerous and unnecessary gamble with American lives that also jeopardizes stability in the region and our standing in the world. What we are witnessing is not strength, it is recklessness, dressed up as resolve. I know the threat that Iran poses, and they must never be, always gotta say some stupid shit, and they must never be allowed to have a nuclear weapon. But this is not the way to dismantle that threat. During the campaign, Donald Trump promised to end wars rather than start them. It was a lie. Then last year, he said, we obliterated, no, he said it in a statement. It wasn't even last year. It was at 2:30 on Saturday. Sorry for your eardrums, but like, I had to do that. It was fucking anyway. Then last year he said we obliterated Iran nuclear program. That too was a lie. And let us all be clear-eyed about what comes next. I can just see her saying this and it's making me cringe a little bit, but the president has already said this conflict may produce American casualties. Doug and I will be praying for all our brave servicemen and women who we know are undertaking dangerous missions with exceptional skill, discipline, and precision. Our troops deserve a commander-in-chief who approaches decisions on matters of war and peace with the same steadiness and discipline our troops show every day. Under the Constitution of the United States, the president must receive authorization from Congress to enter a war, but even if he had, that does not change the fact that this action is unwise, unjustified, and not supported by the American people. There can be no equivocation in our opposition to Donald Trump's war of choice, and Congress must use all available power to prevent him from further committing us to this conflict. Our troops are allies, and the American people deserve nothing less. All y'all a bunch of hoes. I mean, from my point of view. That's why someone like me can't get elected to office, because I would be acting a fool on all your networks right now. I would be acting a fool. You would have to blur me out. I wouldn't be allowed to come on the networks. The networks wouldn't have me on because I wouldn't even be like disrespectful or vulgar. I would use my position to make sure. For those that don't know, I am a military vet. I was in the Marine Corps. I'm not using that to make this an appeal to emotion or anything like that. I'm saying that I have enough experience to know that I don't want those people in harm's way over this. Unless you can give me better reasons than the Iranian Revolution in 1979. You ain't talked about 1953, but you started in 1979. If that's the only thing that you can give me, I'd be acting an ass.
And mocked past presidents for launching similar
I'm gonna find some more
He's
statements.
even attacked or mocked presidents for thinking about potentially launching a regime change war on Iran. And we still don't understand the justification. We've heard it from some congressional leaders who had said that the president needs to make the case to the American people. He didn't, and the justification is not clear. What is exactly the threat coming from Iran by the comments of the president and the administration themselves?
I'm scrolling on Instagram because I'm trying to finding something to react to. Let's laugh. Let's let this be a little lighthearted, even though it's not.
35,000 troops have been deployed or will be deployed, and the U.S. president has said to expect casualties and the death of American heroes.
I thought the airstrikes in June on their nuclear sites wiped out that capacity, but you're saying
that's what I said.
They still have it.
Well, they're trying to rebuild that nuclear capacity, so that gives them a one free voucher, all-inclusive freedom package.
I thought he was a no wars president. What happened to that?
Well, make no mistake about it, this was not a limited airstrike. The U.S. is at war with Iran. And oh, did I forget that we're trying to send a freedom package to Cuba?
I haven't even pooed yet.
Well, it's actually pretty cool. The U.S. is trying to start an insurrection
That's
so
how
that
I
the
felt this
Iranian
morning.
people will overthrow their
That's
own
me, I'm with
government
you.
where the people are so oppressed. I mean, women can't go to school. Acid is thrown on their...
Okay, I'm gonna just go back to bed.
Yeah.
The U.S. dropped Tomahawk missiles on Iran.
That's kind of how the morning. That's kind of how the morning.
They
My morning
obliterated
went.
the nuclear program, if that's even possible. By the reports of the State Department, the nuclear program of Iran was a civilian program. Iran has posed no harm or threats to the U.S. homeland. And so to essentially attack once again like June and call this preemptive or a response to an imminent threat, I think we just haven't seen that kind of justification. And also to do it in the middle of negotiations. The last round of negotiations just happened in Geneva, the third round, and a subsequent round was scheduled for Vienna in a couple of days, and come these attacks as it did in June. So it's just I would say it's astonishing. It's very horrific, and this is going to have real impact. I've spoken to people in Iran on the ground in Tehran trying to leave the city. There's traffic, roads are being blocked again, as we saw in June, and people are just horrified, not knowing what the extent of this is going to be and how far this is going to go.
Nagar Murtazavi is an Iranian-American journalist. She is host of the Iran podcast, senior fellow at the Center for International Policy here in the U.S., born in Tehran. We're going to go to Tel Aviv right now to Ori Goldberg, who is an independent Israeli political analyst and scholar, written extensively on Iran and Israel. Let's see the latest we have. Israel says it has struck over 500 targets in Iran using about 200 fighter jets. The Israeli newspaper Haaretz writes this is the biggest military flyover operation in Israeli Air Force history. Can you talk about what's happening on the ground in Israel? And were you shocked by this attack, the joint U.S.-Israeli attack on Iran in the midst of these negotiations that were taking place that were being mediated by Oman? Ori.
Thank you, Amy. I was indeed surprised by the attack. I thought that it was in the best interests of both the United States and the Islamic Republic to reach an agreement quickly. What's going on the ground in Israel? Israelis are their schizophrenic combination of resigned and jubilant. We can do both, apparently, ever since Israel began its genocidal efforts in Gaza. And so Israelis have become resigned to the notion of war with Iran. There's absolutely no political opposition. In fact, the leader of the Israeli opposition has said this in so many words. There are no opposition coalition now. We all stand behind the government and our glorious men in uniform. And Israeli citizens.
So they think it's a war. They think it's a war. They think it's a war. Trump said it's a war, but we don't think that's going to lead to long-term conflict. Oh, okay.
And this is not a regular thing because today is Saturday. It's Shabbat. Most businesses are closed, but supermarket chains have opened and Israelis have flocked to them, demonstrating, classic panic buying of staples, even though there's no shortage expected. So on the one hand, Israelis are panicking. Israelis do really feel like they have no understanding of how long this war might last, how long this operation might last, and they don't know how to prepare for it. But on the other hand, Israelis are completely resigned to the notion that war with Iran is necessary, that Israel must fight Iran in order to get directly at the head of the snake, as we like to call the Islamic Republic here. Now, listening to Ms. Mortazavi's analysis, I agree with just about everything she said, except for the notion that this is a regime change war. I don't think this is really a regime change war. I don't think it's a regime change war for the United States, and I don't think it's a regime change war for Israel.
This is a stay in power
American
war.
And Israeli interests are converging in a very short-term time period. I think that for Trump, appearing to be a victorious, triumphant elder statesman, or at the very least, a maverick who does what he will and restores America to greatness, is of paramount importance, particularly at this moment in time when his ability to lead is being questioned from just about every direction, including the GOP itself. And for Netanyahu, I mean, the quote I just provided from the leader of the opposition says it all. The Israeli political establishment has caved completely before Netanyahu. There is no opposition. Protests against Netanyahu have fallen completely silent. The protesters, many of them are now occupied either in flying these jets or directing them, these fighter planes, these bombers over Iran. So the broad consensus in Israel that war is necessary and war with Iran is most necessary of all has once again been validated, and that is wholly and completely in Netanyahu's favor. To sum it up, I would again stress the point that this convergence of interest is very much in the short term. Neither the US nor Israel has any kind of notion where this might go. And I think the US would be prepared for all sorts of options, including a coup d'etat inside the Islamic Republic and an Islamic leadership claiming it holds the authority to negotiate a ceasefire or an acceptance of American demands. Israelis, of course, are talking about the need to get at Iran before it manages to fulfill its generations-long wish to destroy Israel. That means nothing in practical political terms. It is wholly open to political interpretation and manipulation. And I expect Netanyahu, who excels precisely at such manipulation, to do his thing.
Ervan Abrahamian is also with us, a professor emeritus at the Graduate Center CUNY, the City University of New York. Your response to what Ori Goldberg said and where you see these attacks going?
Well, I mean, as many American politicians have also articulated, the administration's gone to war without making basically clear what the objectives are. This could be intentional, so they can declare victory or whatever happens. But I suspect that they themselves are confused about what they really want. I mean, so many contradictory arguments are given. The last one I heard was about the president saying that Iran had long-range missiles that would hit the United States. This is reminiscent of course, the Bush with Saddam Hussein claiming that he could, at a drop of a hat, destroy Manhattan and so on. But in reality, of course, Iran does not have long-range missiles. It does have medium-range missiles, which could feasibly break through the Iron Dome and affect Israel. But so if this war is about defending Israel, I don't see why the president just openly tells the United States public that this is basically a war for
That's
defense
weird.
of Israel. I mean, Israel is, after all, a U.S. ally. I can't see why he can't be honest about that.
Demonstrators in Los Angeles, home to the largest population of Iranians outside Iran, celebrated the attack by dancing, chanting, and waving flags outside a federal building in Westwood neighborhood. Down with the Islamic Republic, they shouted. Democracy for Iran. Many in the crowd of hundreds waved the red and white, green, lion, and sun flag, which was the Iranian flag before the 1979 revolution brought the Ayatollah to power. So you carry the flag of the dictator? Oh. Others carried Israeli or American flags. So y'all are just bloodthirsty weirdos. Got it. Led by an MC. Ooh. The crowd also chanted, thanks to President Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Some wore hats and shirts labeled MAGA, Make Iran Great Again. Oh, that's absolutely disgusting. I almost just threw up in my mouth a little bit. That's gross. About 500,000 Iranian Americans live in the greater Los Angeles region. West Los Angeles, in particular, is home to a cultural enclave known as Tehrangeles, or Little Persia, featuring grocery stores, ice cream, kebab shops. Actually, that sounds pretty wonderful. I do want to see Tehrangeles, but not if y'all gonna be dancing over some dumb. Anyway. Iranian official says Israel and U.S. will regret their actions. That's the part that I don't like. That part right there. That part right there. But then there's often this,
as Nagar said, change of regime. The term of change of regime was a substitute for military coup d'etat. This was the old days when the U.S. had military organizations or had supplement or basically trained, armed, financed various militaries through the world, and at a green light, the military could take over. The situation in Iran is very different. The Revolutionary Guards are the military. And if they're the alternative government, they take over and more sweep aside the politicians and the clerics. That's not going to solve the problem. I would, if I was Israeli, I would be much more nervous with the Revolutionary Guards in power, because they would be much more basically realistic. Let's say our own way of defense is not to rely on.
I mean, I understand why dude wants to have. I understand why dude wants to have a serious discussion about like what happens next.
Go all the way for a nuclear bomb.
And to sit here and talk like they have a plan. That's not what this is, man. They just want to cause ultimate chaos at Saturday at 2:30 a.m.
I'm not sure if the people
right before the war
Washington
powers
sort this out,
authorization.
If you have an alternative, then it's feasible. But there is no alternative except for the Revolutionary Guard. So this is, I think, again, a way to camouflage the real reason.
Realistically,
the real reason is much more maximalist, much more.
Realistically, because I'm thinking about, with the little time that I got left here, thinking about going to another story that I'm interested in, this Anthropic AI bullshit, or if there's anything that you guys want to discuss. But as far as this attack on Iran goes, it seems unconstitutional, whether you agree with the attacks or not. Because it's unconstitutional and stupid and a whole bunch of other stuff. I don't know. It's going to be a weird beginning of the week. Let's put it that way. Hopefully, I hope Congress, the Democrats in Congress, but Congress in general, has a backbone, will stop any further attacks and discuss what needs to happen moving forward, and then have some sort of plan or discussion about what he had did at Saturday at 2 a.m. because that happened. And whether even if Congress were to approve war powers, they didn't at Saturday at 2:30 a.m. We got attacks going back and forth, and we don't know if the Ayatollah is dead yet. That's where I'm at with this. It seems that that's the only thing I can pull out. Everybody else is just yapping. I'm just yapping. So let's yap about something else. I'm going to Anthropic, unless y'all got something else you want to talk about. But let's head back over to ground news. And Anthropic was a top story. I just saw it. I literally was just looking at it. Where did it go? Here, let's do this. Anthropic. Updated 4 hours ago. Oh, this is worse. This is not good. OpenAI strikes deal with Pentagon hours after rival Anthropic was blacklisted by Trump. Lord. So Elon, Peter, and Sam literally have full unrestrained control or ability to do whatever the fuck they want. Great. Late on Friday, OpenAI, I guess we'll read the synopsis. Late on Friday, OpenAI CEO Sam Altman announced an agreement to deploy OpenAI's AI models on the Pentagon's classified network hours after President Donald Trump ordered agencies to stop using Anthropic's tools. After weeks of tense negotiations, Anthropic refused Pentagon demands to remove safeguards barring domestic mass surveillance and autonomous weapons. And Pete Hegseth, and U.S. Defense Secretary, designated Anthropic a supply chain risk, which I want to know what that means specifically, but that whole paragraph right there is wild. Sam Altman noted OpenAI will develop engineers and technical safeguards, and the DoD agreed to safety principles banning domestic mass surveillance and requiring human responsibility for use of force. Okay, those two paragraphs contradict each other. Anthropic vowed to challenge the Pentagon's designation in court and said it will seek legal recourse with a $200 million contract and 6-month transition window for federal agencies. This development signals broad national security implications for AI as U.S. federal procurement authorities apply supply chain restrictions to U.S. AI developer, a shift previously used. Oh, I see. That was he did that for a specific reason. Oh, Lord F. Why is AI involved with anything to do with the Pentagon? Seems very problematic. Thanks for the comment, GA. I agree. That's why I'm kind of interested in this. And even though I kind of spent most of the time looking at the war that we just started, let's take a look at, let's kind of dig into this, because I agree with you. I want to know why AI is involved with everything, with anything to do with the Pentagon. And I want to know why AI is being allowed to be this unregulated mess. We just stopped giving a F about regulations, and things are going kind of ham. So OpenAI CEO Sam Altman said on Friday reached agreement with the Department of War to develop its AI models on classified cloud networks. In all our interactions, the Department of War displayed a deep respect for safety and desire to partner to achieve the best possible outcome. Okay, so this again comes back to my synopsis question that the reason why Anthropic was even in negotiations with the Pentagon in the first place is because they wanted them to remove safeguards for mass surveillance and autonomous weapons. So why are you talking about that these people have displayed a deep respect for safety and a desire to partner to achieve the best possible outcome when if that's shitty, that was the only thing that they said in that article. Great. That's why I understand. I'm trying to be fair and balanced with my analysis here for whomever I may have in chat, but these articles are so shittily written. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And then I always have to use, because I ain't paying for none of this shit either. I have to use weird ways in order to read full articles. And if you don't know, I'm doing a ad for archive.is. If you are trying to read an article and you don't want to pay the whatever, if this gets me banned and in trouble, oh well, who cares? Archive.is. Put the link in the thing. It'll make you be able to read the article. You ain't got to pay for shit. The Pentagon has agreed to OpenAI's rules for deploying its technology safely in classified settings through no contract, though no contract has been signed, a source familiar with the talks tells Axios. Why it matters: the Pentagon has blasted OpenAI rival Anthropic for days, contending its red lines for AI use in the military, mass surveillance, and autonomous weapons are philosophical and woke. The Pentagon said that the red lines for mass surveillance and autonomous weapons are philosophical and woke. What are you fucking 3? We're so cooked. We're so cooked. Oni, welcome. We're cooked. Now the department, which did not immediately respond to requests for comment, appears to have accepted OpenAI's similar conditions, which is suspect. That shit's suspect. Sus. AF. Capital. Caps lock on the sus. Catch up quick. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman, in an overnight memo to employees, laid out his company's approach. OpenAI also does not approve of ChatGPT for mass surveillance and autonomous weapons. Okay, you may not approve, but that doesn't mean you didn't give approval. Since y'all want to be so pedantic. The company wants the ability to continuously strengthen its security and monitoring system as it learns from real-world deployments. The company also wants researchers with security clearances who can track how the technology is being used and advise the government on risks. The company also wants certain technical safeguards, including confining models to the cloud rather than edge environments like autonomous weapons. You know Pete gonna do the shit. You know Pete gonna do it. So I want to know now, as I'm reading this article, which is kind of the reason why I want to do this on stream, is we can read articles and while live be like, okay, now that I read this slight sentence right here talking about how the company wants certain technical safeguards, who in charge? Who's in charge of the Pentagon? I know the answer, but let's go back to old school Twitch J-OneHundred. Tab. We're gonna open up a tab. Who is in charge of the Pentagon? I know the answer, but let's do it for old time's sake and to make a point. Minus AI. Minus AI. Minus AI. Minus AI. Do you do that? You don't do that. I need to figure out how to get that. I don't want the AI, Brave. That's why I came to you, Brave. Because I don't want no more AI shit on my shit. Unless I'm using it as a tool, I don't want to use it for this. Because we need to figure out, people need to figure out how to find out information. Okay, but you've seen it. It's Pete Hegseth. The Secretary of Defense is in charge of the Pentagon. If I'm not mistaken, if I'm just not as informed as I try to be, but I try to be pretty informed. If I'm not mistaken, we already know that Pete Hegseth ain't good with classified encrypted shit. So that's why I'm extremely skeptical of this agreement of respect for safety, especially considering that the reason why you blacklisted Anthropic is because you say, and I quotes, mass surveillance and autonomous weapons are red lines for AI use in the military are philosophical and woke. Now, even if the most safe of safety, HR Toby from the Office Representatives was in charge of the Department of Defense, I still, personally myself, unless you give the people all the information and the memos and all these things that you wrote to come up with this agreement, right? Even if the lamest of lames, even if the most least risk-averse mug in the world was like, let me take a look at this, I still don't want AI having to do with anything that has to do with the Pentagon. I mean, we're probably 5-10 years late on that aspect on real, especially considering they're rolling things out to this magnitude. But when is enough going to be enough? And so one of the things that I pride myself on when doing these types of, or having these types of conversations, whether they're live streamed or, at a bar or whatever, is, I like to be provocative to make you think. I like to be provocative to make you spark. Make myself spark. What we gonna do about this? Seriously. Cause this mug Saturday, like I'm gonna get back to the article here, but I'm having so much consternation in my brain about the fact that I woke up this morning and was like, nigga, what? What? And then watched 8 minutes of what? Saturday at 2:30 a.m. That's in the history books. That's gonna be in the history books. One of the pages is gonna be like, and on that Monday they were going to be voting for the Congressional War Powers Act, and then at Saturday at 2:30 a.m. in the morning, this motherfucker drone struck Iran like that's what the books go say. Not my quotes. This is the book's quotes. The company wants the ability to continue. I said that already. The company also wants researchers with security clearances who can track how the technology is being used and advise the government on risks. Okay, this is like getting redundant at this point because this is like 3 sentences in a row. Do we not know who the damn Secretary of Defense is? And when it comes to, so again, I'm not trying to like drop this. I had a secret security clearance when I was in the Marine Corps. I had to do a lot of work to get that secret clearance in the Marine Corps. Now, granted, you probably automatically get, if I'm not mistaken, you get certain clearances, like you still have to go through the background check and all that kind of stuff like that, but it's a formality that you are going to get the clearance for whatever position that you get. Like in Pete Hegseth's case, he's the effing Secretary of Defense. He's literally gonna have to have, you know, beyond top secret classification. But why? The violations. Like, if I, with a secret clearance, if I had done a fraction, just under the jail, but the company wants researchers with security clearances who could track the technology and how the government's used. Okay. The company also wants certain technical safeguard, including confirming models. Yeah, we read that one. Pete Hegseth, everybody. He's in charge of that. Between the lines, defense officials and President Trump were irate at the idea that Anthropic, a company they perceive as leftist. So then why did you do the all right, now I have more questions. About, I want to know about the details of Anthropic contract, if there is any. Where's Taylor Lorenz when you need her? I'm not a journalist, bro. I want to know how they. Let's go to this. Let's go to Euronews. Okay, that's what I wanted. I found it pretty quickly. So, the United States government is threatening. This is before. This was yesterday. Nope, this was 3 days ago. So the United States government is threatening to end military contracts with the company Anthropic unless it opens its AI technology for unrestricted military use, but the tech company is standing firm. Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei said in a statement on February 26 that he cannot, in good conscience, accede to the Pentagon's request for unrestricted access to the company's AI systems. In a narrow set of cases, we believe AI can undermine rather than defend democratic values. Now, I am going to continue this, and this is a small derailment, but how many movies about AI do we gotta watch with that motherfucker turn on us every day? Okay, so some uses are also simply outside the bounds of what today's technology can safely and reliably do. The statement from Amodei comes less than 24 hours before Friday's deadline set by Department of War to give them unfettered access to Claude. Anthropic makes the chatbot Claude and is the last of its peers to not supply its technology to a new U.S. military internal network. Anthropic won a $200 million contract from the U.S. Department of Defense last July to prototype frontier AI capabilities that advance U.S. national security, Anthropic said. The company inked a partnership with Palantir Technologies in 2024 to integrate Claude into the intelligence software. So that partnership says that Anthropic and Palantir announced with Amazon Web Services to provide, oh my Jesus Christ, to provide U.S. intelligence and defense agencies access to Claude 3 and 3.5 family of models on AWS. This partnership allows for an integrated suite of technology to operationalize the use of Claude within Palantir's AI platform while leveraging the security, agility, flexibility, sustainability benefits provided by AWS. The partnership facilitates the responsible application of AI, enabling the use of Claude with Palantir products to support government operations such as processing vast amounts of complex data rapidly, elevating data-driven insights, identifying patterns and trends more efficiently, streamlining document review and preparation, and helping U.S. officials to make more informed decisions in time-sensitive situations while preserving their decision-making authorities. Blah, 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 blah. Claude became accessible within Palantir AIP on AWS earlier this month. They're not really saying anything. It's all bullshit. Okay. So going back to this, defense officials in Trump were irate at the idea that Anthropic, a company they perceive as leftist, and CEO Dario Amodei could have any say over how the Pentagon uses technology in its operations. We will decide the fate of our country, not some out-of-control radical left AI company run by people who have no idea what the real world's all about. Pause, oh my Jesus Christ. That's a quote. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great again, Trump said in a Truth Social post. What? I want to read it. I want to see the quote. Okay. So again, let's oh, this is like, this is a mental pain that is manifesting into physical pain. This is how like annoyingly stupid this is. We will decide, and what he means by we is his rich weirdo minions, will decide the fate of our country, not some out of control radical left AI company run by people who have no idea what the real world is all about. Pause for a second. Pause the recording. Can you do the technology, Trump? Can you write the code that does the thing that make the AI work to give you mass surveillance and the ability to use AI for autonomous weapons? Do you know how to do that? Because if you knew how to do that, you wouldn't give $200 million to Anthropic and OpenAI to do the thing that you're trying to do. So it seems that this company is run by people who do have an idea of what the real world is about and has some comments, questions, and concerns about the bullshit that you're trying to administer here. Like, what is happening? Are we really doing this? Do I have to find images of it because I'm not. Oh my God. The United States of America will never allow a radical left woke company to dictate how our great military fights and wins wars. That decision belongs to your commander in chief and the tremendous leaders I appoint to run our military. The left-wing nut jobs at Anthropic have made a disastrous mistake trying to strong-arm the Department of War and force them to obey their terms of service instead of our Constitution. My nigga. So he used the Constitution as the thing that he just violated by doing the Iran. I thought I had an Iran shit up, but yeah, here we go. So you talking about, you worried about the Constitution, obeying the Constitution, but you just struck a country at 2:30 a.m. on a Saturday fucking morning. What is we talking about here? Like, okay, I don't know if y'all were here earlier when I was doing this kind of thought experiment thing, but let's play a thought experiment. I need to give that a name, and I need to make it like a ongoing segment. Like, let's be normies. Let's I think we'll call it that. I mean, I don't have a big consensus in order to deem this, but we can have an easy vote here right now. Let's vote to see if you enjoy let's be normies for a second as a theme, to let's break it down like we're stupid and this isn't the most crazy shit you have ever read in your entire life. Let's for a second pretend that President Donald Trump is a normal, reasoned, well-read, cultured leader that, like, you would expect a president to be in a movie about a terrorist attack that America almost got conquered. Like, what kind of a president do you think, like, competent president do you think that would happen in like that type of, you know, scenario, right? Okay, so let's play that. So let's be normies. And if this was a normal president, if the normal president at 2:30 a.m. in the Saturday morning attacked the country and gave the most bullshit of reasons, we would say that's a violation of the Constitution, right? Okay, so Anthropic is trying to, like, not be, I had a thought, let me finish this one, not be the corporation that leads to the thing that leads to the thing that leads to the end of the world. So they're trying to have some safeguards. But this is reminding me a lot of Horizon Zero Dawn and Cyberpunk right now. This is feeling like that. And I'm currently playing Horizon Zero Dawn. If you like, at the end of streams, I may even switch over and play Horizon Zero Dawn if you would like. I would play some games too. We can do that. But it seems like Anthropic was trying to, like, is the company, and OpenAI is going to end up being that, but Anthropic was trying to be the company that was like, no, you know, maybe we should have some safeguards. And then now the normal, rational, reasonable president that also just at 2:30 this morning did an act of war without Congress. I'm gonna read this again. The left-wing nut jobs at Anthropic have made a disastrous mistake trying to strong-arm the Department of War and force them to obey their terms of service instead of our Constitution. Their selfishness is putting American lives at risk. How? I'm gonna need y'all. Listen, okay. There's gonna be another segment that's going to come up, especially when we have weirdos that come into the chat and want to say weird things in the chat. I'm going to need you to explain it to me. I'm going to need you because you say stuff. You just saying stuff. And like, I know that like a lot of I know a lot of politicians and celebrities and you people, you himself, you it might even be you, just say stuff. But here at J-OneHundred TV, I'm gonna need you to kind of explain what you mean. And if I say something, if I'm just saying stuff and you're like, yo, what does that mean? Put it in chat. Be like, hey, J-OneHundred, what is that? Why do you keep saying that? What does this mean? What did you mean by that? I will gladly let you know where my thought process is going. And I hope that you do the same. So if you're saying that Anthropic is a left-wing nut job, I'm not Trump because he just be saying stuff. But for anyone that agrees and believes this, I'm going to need you to explain to me how Anthropic, a AI company that was working with the Pentagon to let them do whatever the fuck they were about to do, is left-wing nut jobs. Leftist and woke. I'm gonna need you to explain that to me because that part don't make sense. Then the next part where you talking about that they're trying to make you obey their terms instead of obeying the Constitution, I'll put my child, my girl, and my left nut on the fucking line to guarantee the Constitution does not allow for you to do whatever the fuck you think y'all was trying to do here with this Anthropic stuff. So I'm gonna need you to explain that part. And then I'm gonna need you to explain how it's putting American lives at risk. I'm going to need you to explain how our troops are in danger, and I'm going to need you to explain how this is endangering our national security, put our national security in jeopardy. So continuing, therefore, I'm directing every federal agency in the United States to immediately cease all use of Anthropic's technology that you told them to use. Because if we read back here, they've had this contract since 2024. You gave them $200 million because you said you wanted to work with them to do this. So now you don't want shit. You don't want, what did you say? Let's read it verbatim. Directing every caps lock federal agency in the United States government to immediately cease all use of Anthropic's technology that you told them to use. We don't need it, but you gave them $200 million. We don't want it, but you contracted them for $200 million, and we will not do business with them again. Now that part I can see. That's the only, listen, out of this whole motherfucking thing that I've read here so far, you not willing to do business with them again because you stiff contractors. That's the only thing in here that has been making sense. Everything else in here is Lord. There will be a 6 month phase out period for agencies like the Department of War who are using Anthropic's products at various levels. Anthropic better get their act together and be helpful during this phase out period. So you talking to them about we will not be strong armed, and then you want a strong arm? This is the reason why people like me can't be in no positions like this, because I will go on national TV and say that. I will take the mic and say, how you gonna strong arm me when you done told me then you don't want to be strong armed? Well, you don't want to be strong armed? I don't want to be strong armed. You want to use that? Then you figure out how to take it off your system then, bitch. How about that? That's what I would say live on the motherfucking cameras, and that's why I can't be a public official. So since I can't be a public official, I'ma just be some dude that's gonna read you the news right now. We can hang out, read the news, and realize that none of this shit makes no fucking sense, and I can't logically, and trying to be a normie and trying to just get through this. What is happening right now? Anthropic better get their act together and be helpful during this phase-out period, or I will use the full power of the presidency to make them comply with major civil and criminal consequences to follow. Oh, what is this? What is this? So now we got OpenAI, let's go back. Let's go back to ground news, because that's where we were. So now we got OpenAI. And now I figured out this contract thing. That's where we got thrown off here. I read this sentence here, and there was just too many sentences in a row that made no sense. So we had to dig. So now we know that Anthropic had a $200 million contract 2020-24. I'm hype right now. That's the reason why I can't even talk. In 2024, to do all these things that the Pentagon wanted, they were doing all these things the Pentagon wanted. The Pentagon's like, no, we want you to do this. And they're like, nah, we ain't gonna do that. And they're like, nah, so we want you to do this. And they say, nah. We ain't gonna do that. And so this dude gonna get up on this fake social media site and say the most ridiculous bullshit I've ever heard in my entire life in context of this, and then give OpenAI the partnership with OpenAI talking about, I have the same safeguards. So if you are ceasing, what did he say? Again, we quoting, let's use a quote. He said, Anthropic better get their act together and be helpful during this phase out period, or I will use the full power of the presidency to make them comply with major civil and criminal consequences to follow, because they wouldn't let you mass surveil us and put AI in fully autonomous, make fully autonomous weapons. That's the reason why. So if OpenAI is saying that you have the same thing, and then OpenAI is saying that you respect those safeguards, well, what do you now respect? I'm gonna need you to have to send out the memo. I'm gonna need you to give an executive order about what you said, since you like doing executive orders, my G. Because this shit ain't making no sense. And now we can finally get to this last paragraph. This development signals broader national security implications for AI as U.S. federal procurement authorities apply supply chain restrictions. Oh yeah, that was the next thing that I wanted to look into. What did Pete Hegseth say? That they were a supply chain risk. So what did Pete Hegseth mean when he said Anthropic, oh my God, was a supply chain risk? I'm gonna guess and say because they incorporated it into their systems, that they are a supply chain risk because it's messing up the system. That's my guess. Let's figure it out. Nearly 2 hours after the president announced on Truth Social that it was banning Anthropic products from federal government, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth took it one step further and announced that he was now designating the AI company as a supply chain risk, which Anthropic says it is willing to challenge in court. Okay, so that really means something. What does this mean? And I'm not trying to use AI for them to just tell me. So you know, shit. The decision could immediately impact numerous major tech companies that use Claude in their line of work for the Pentagon, including Palantir, AWS. It is not immediately clear what the extent the Pentagon may blacklist. It's not immediately clear to what extent the Pentagon may blacklist companies that contract with Claude for other services outside the national security. Anthropic has responded, claiming the designation applies only to the use of its Claude AI on Department of Defense contract work specifically. After a week of tense negotiations over the company's acceptable use, the Pentagon gave Anthropic an ultimatum: agree by Friday. Damn, they were busy. They were like, hey, Friday by 5:30, y'all need to give us the ability to do whatever the fuck we want with our AI systems here, and we are gonna snitch. We are going to spy on everybody. You got until 5:30, and then you got until you're gonna have to wake up at 2:30 Saturday morning because we bombing Iran. Like, they were busy, and we just let these motherfuckers do it, and I don't like that. Agree by Friday 5:30 to let the Pentagon use Claude for all legal purposes. Oh my God, the way that they twist the fucking words pisses me off so much. Including for autonomous lethal weapons without human oversight and mass surveillance, or be designated a supply chain risk. The designation, which typically used for companies with ties to foreign governments, there we go. That's what I was looking for. I see what it is. Oh, wait, didn't Trump do this to Huawei? Did Trump declare Huawei, well, I think I spelled that right, a supply chain risk? Because that will make it make more sense for me. No, this is old news. This is see, that's why AI, I didn't mean to look at the AI, but they got links. So let's go to the link. None of these links have anything to do with that, with Huawei. I want Huawei links. So this is, see why I don't like AI? You ain't linking to nothing. This is not links and sources. That's why take this shit. I'm gonna fix the next stream. That shit is off of here. I do not like these. I mean, I do for like when I'm trying to do something quickly, but it defeats the whole purpose of what I'm trying to accomplish here. And I asked about Huawei, and you're still talking to me about Anthropic. So stop. But he didn't. So, oh, okay. So he did. I'm about to lose my fucking mind. God, I hate AI, bro. At least this one is a little bit better. Okay. Holy shit. President Trump on Wednesday extended for another year an executive order signed on May 2019 declaring a national emergency and barring U.S. companies from using telecommunications companies' equipment made by firms posing a national security risk. The order invoked the Internal Emergency Economic Powers Act, which gives the president the authority to regulate commerce in response to a national emergency that threatens the United States. U.S. lawmakers said Trump's 2019 order was aimed squarely at Chinese companies like Huawei Technologies. I see. So that's what that is. So basically, because Anthropic did not want to violate the law, the Department of Defense is making Anthropic a national security risk. Therefore, no other companies can work with Anthropic in the country. That's the next thing that I need to know. Or is it just the federal government? Okay, so this says will bar any company that uses Anthropic products from working with the Department of Defense. But the thing for Huawei is Huawei can't come in the country at all. It ain't got shit to do with the Department of Defense. So this one, okay, so this one is barring U.S. companies. So that's what we need to figure out, if it's just the Department of Defense or if it's U.S. companies. All right, so keep that in mind. Continuing on. In his tweet posted just after 5 p.m., Hegseth broadened the designation to encompass companies doing any commercial activity. Oh. Well, damn. Well, damn, I just needed to read the next paragraph. Jeez. Reiterating Trump's mandate that companies had 6 months to divest themselves. Our position has never wavered and will never waver. The Department of War must have full, unrestricted access to Anthropic's models for every lawful purpose in defense of the Republic. Instead, Anthropic and its CEO have chosen duplicity. Cloaked in the sanctimonious rhetoric of effective altruism, they have attempted to strong-arm the United States military into submission, a cowardly act of corporate virtue signaling that places Silicon Valley ideology above American lives. Wow, that is a lot of words to say. Lies. Holy shit. Anthropic responded to both the Department of Defense and White House on Friday evening, saying in a blog post that it had not received direct communication from either organization about the status of their negotiations. Okay, we know the status of negotiations. They are out and OpenAI is in. Okay, so GA. Was that enough to answer why AI was involved with anything to do with the Pentagon? This administration wants to use it to do unconstitutional stuff. Oh yeah, we have supply chain stuff. Yep, we already got it. Yeah, so that's what we got. So the last thing that I'm gonna do is I want to see how the right is reporting on this, because we broke it down. We asked some questions. We see how the contract was enforced. All right, cool. I'm glad we were able to work that all out together. We see how the contract was enforced. We see what the OpenAI was demanding, and we saw them saying that they were being philosophical and woke. How is this being mentioned on the right? OpenAI announced that it had reached an agreement with the federal government to deploy its artificial intelligence agency models on classified networks. AI safety and wide distribution of benefits are core of our mission. Oh wait, this is OpenAI. They just reported it. The post millennial just reported it. All right, fair enough. What did Breitbart say? CNN reports discovered that we reached agreement. It was significant. Banning the company from government work. Okay. All right. They get into it a little bit. Let's see what they say. So the dramatic actions against Anthropic followed weeks of contentious negotiations between the AI company and the Defense Department. Anthropic had been the first AI company to successfully deploy its models across the Department of War's classified network infrastructure. That's probably how they won the contract. However, discussions over the ongoing terms of its contract ultimately collapsed due to disagreements over acceptable use cases. According to sources familiar with the negotiations, Anthropic sought specific assurances that its AI models would not be deployed for fully autonomous weapon systems or for conducting mass surveillance operations targeting American citizens. The Defense Department, conversely, wanted Anthropic to agree to permit military use of the models across all lawful applications without such restrictions. As Breitbart News previously reported, Chief Pentagon spokesman Sean Parnell addressed the controversy Thursday, stating that the Department of War has no interest in using Anthropic's models for fully autonomous weapons or conducting mass surveillance of Americans. Activities he noted are illegal. Despite these assurances, Parnell emphasized the agency's position that it requires agreement for all lawful uses of the technology. This is a simple common sense request that will prevent Anthropic from jeopardizing critical military operations and potentially putting our warfighters at risk. So, didn't we have a whole movie about this? Didn't we have a whole fucking movie franchise saga about this? And in this case, Anthropic is the UN, and the United States government are the Avengers. Now, in no way, shape, form, or fashion am I saying that this regime are like the Avengers. No. I'm just saying that in context of what the Avengers were dealing with the Sokovia Accords in the MCU, and the whole thing be about, hey, we are superheroes and we shouldn't be told what to do. Well, you know what? I'm on team Sokovia Accords with the conversation and debate and agreement with the heroes. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, if we believe in democracy, we believe in people having a voice, and we believe in that choice, the Sokovia Accords was basically saying that these superpowered individuals have to do what we say, how we say. And if the superheroes had their say, if Tony and Steve and I'm trying to think of everybody's name, but I'm thinking of like all the characters all at once at the same time, and it's just like just a word salad of all the characters. It's kind of throwing me off. But we know the names of the damn characters: the Black Widow and the Captain America and all the motherfuckers, right? If they were able to sit down and have a discussion, not the discussion of, oh, are we going to sign these or not? Or is this statute fair? What about this one? I see what you're saying here. We can do one better. We can do this. We'll agree to this if you do this. How about that if we do that? And therefore, the Sokovia Accords would have been an agreement between the superheroes, and they wouldn't have had to split up. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, and we can get into nerdy takes, because I'm going to give you a nerdy hot take right now that might blow some minds, and cause a debate one of these days on another stream. But when it comes to talking about the MCU universe as like normies, it's Captain America's fault. Captain America murdered everybody. Captain America caused the blip. Now, of course, it was Thanos, but Captain America caused the blip. Captain America caused the blip. We can have that discussion another time. But I say all this to say that Captain America caused the blip, everything leading to Tony and Steve having their standoff. That standoff is this AI, Anthropic, and the government. And so what the government is saying is, listen, we're not going to use it for mass surveilling and fully autonomous weapons, but we want you to allow us to do that anyway. And if you don't, you're being woke. And that's just not a good argument. And it is basically the same argument of the Sokovia Accords. And I was on team Tony Stark for that. And in this case, I'm on team Anthropic. And in this case, I want to know more on, I need Taylor Lorenz. I need somebody deep dive on this contract and how this contract came to be. I might have to turn into a damn investigative journalist or some shit. Okay? Because what did it say? It said that they were the first. So Anthropic had been the first AI company to successfully deploy its models across the Department of War's classified network infrastructure. I want to know how that worked. I want to know what they did. I'm curious now, because y'all making me want to ask all these damn questions. And then based off of that, despite the insurances, Parnell emphasized the agency's position that it requires agreement of all lawful uses of the technology. So they wanted assurances that they weren't going to use it for illegal things, and they weren't giving it. So anyway, that line of reasoning just threw me off on that MCU tangent, trying to make it make sense. But That's a pretty good analogy for the analogy king. Continuing, in a memo to OpenAI employees on Thursday, Altman indicated that his company shared the similar safety concerns, referring to them as red lines, comparable to those advocated by Anthropic. However, in his Friday announcement, Altman stated that the Department of War had agreed to accommodate OpenAI's safety requirements. So why accommodate them but not Anthropic? Because you look dumb? Because you realize you like negotiated a little too hard? And that also gave me the visualization of that is what you would read if you ever read The Art of the Deal, Donald Trump's book. Chapter 1. Okay, so you go into chapter, you give them an offer that's too ridiculous, right? It's too ridiculous of an offer, and then you call them woke. And then the next people you did business with, you make them agree to the offer that the other people made you agree to in the first place, which would have been the first deal. But we just made an ass of ourselves for a week. That's the art of the deal, apparently. And that's basically what just happened. But Sam Altman and OpenAI is sus. Capital AF. All caps lock, SUS, caps lock AF, all of it. That is what they are. And I don't trust none of the shit that these motherfuckers are saying. Continuing, 2 of our most important safety principles are prohibitions on domestic mass surveillance and human responsibility for the use of force, including for autonomous weapon systems. The DOW agrees with these principles. They literally didn't fucking 2 days ago. They literally didn't on Thursday and Wednesday. It's Friday. They literally didn't. What the fuck are we talking about? As part of the agreement, Altman said OpenAI will implement technical safeguards designed to ensure its models operate as intended within the classified environment. Isn't that literally what Anthropic? The company also plans to deploy personnel to assist with model operations and maintain safety oversight. And didn't he say? He said that no one can do the. That's what he. Okay, I'm losing it because these dudes aren't making no sense. In the apparent gesture toward industry-wide standards, Altman called for the War Department to extend similar terms to all AI companies. We're asking for the DOW to offer these same terms to all AI companies, which in our opinion, we think everyone should be willing to accept. We have expressed our strong desire to see things de-escalate away from legal and governmental actions and toward reasonable agreements. I don't see any issue here. They're just reporting things. So AI is having a dramatic impact on government and military. Government. Okay, so maybe this is where things may differ. AI is having a dramatic impact on the government, our military, and the American economy. It is crucial for conservatives to develop a game plan for how to address this revolutionary technology without sacrificing our rights or giving control of the government to Silicon Valley leftists who hate the MAGA movement. Brother, give it a rest. Developing this game plan is the topic of forthcoming book. Oh, Jesus Christ. I don't care about your book. Senator Marsha Blackburn, who is named one of Time's most influential praise code. Okay. All right. So they're selling a book. So they basically went through the news and then was like, listen, we need to come up with a way to discuss how to take away everybody's rights without letting them know that we're going to take away everybody's rights. And Anthropic is blacklisted and is a supply chain risk for asking to do what we agreed to let OpenAI do 2 days later because that makes sense. We're fucking cooked, bro. We're fucking cooked, bro. I think I'm going to call it a day for that one, but it's been real. Now, before I go, for those that are still here, is there anything that you wanted me to go over on any of the topics that we discussed? Is there anything that I missed? Anything that you want to mention? Anything that you want to go over real quick before I go? It's been real. I'm back. J-OneHundred is back. This is good. It feels good. It feels great. We'll figure things out as things go. We'll probably add some segments. We'll have guests. We'll play games. We'll do all that kind of stuff like that. We'll figure out as we go. But I just wanted to come on and test things, see how things worked, see how my, little widgets worked, see how the screen worked, the chat, how sound was. I didn't hear any complaints about sound, so that's good. Maybe next week play some games. We'll do some. I'm a sim racer, so you're gonna catch me playing Gran Turismo, like for sure. On Thursdays, I think I'm gonna have Gran Turismo Thursday, because that's when they reset the week for the weeklies. So I'll do weeklies on stream and maybe some online races or whatever. But like I said, everything is kind of moving like Cyberpunk and Horizon Zero Dawn. And I got Cyberpunk on my PC, and I got Horizon Zero Dawn on the PlayStation. And I got them shits connected to all this, so we can play if you want to. Let me know. But I don't see anything in chat, so it's been real. I appreciate you. Yeah, I'll come up with some little teaser, little bumper things that I say at the end. But till then, it's been real. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you Monday. Peace.